I am very excited to talk about innovating nature with you guys because just a couple weeks ago, the second movie was announced with a teaser trailer pitting Johnny in the classic summer camp setting. I, for one, can't wait to see the sequel and hope this becomes a franchise because in this day and age, we are yearning for franchises with new horror mascot. I'm pretty sure the only recent horror mascot is Art the Clown. Maybe by the end of this year or early next year, whenever this movie comes out, we will be adding Johnny to that list. In A Violent Nature is written and directed by Chris Nash in an attempt to flip the script and subvert the slasher genre by doing the simple switch of having the movie be told in the perspective of the killer. Now, this isn't a totally new idea as there's been other movies that have done this, such as Behind the Mask, Psycho 2, Maniac, The House That Jack Built, which is a great watch, American Psycho, among others. This for sure has to be the first to follow a mute killer in that slasher genre, I think. I do not believe that has ever been done before, especially with this type of execution. Inspired by Friday the 13th genre, art house films, and A Violent Nature is a treat for all horror lovers as it is an experimental film that tells its story in clever ways, shot beautifully with brutal, and I mean brutal kills. There's also an all-timer in here, and if you've seen this movie, then you know what I'm talking about. I think this movie doesn't get the love that it deserves because compared to other films in this genre, it is considered to be slow as we are following the killer around the entirety of the film. There's times where he's just walking and stalking, giving the characters time to have dialogue that is important to the lore of Johnny. I don't find him slow at all, as once it starts, the director does a good job at immediately setting what pace the story is going to be told, and that really sets up how you feel for the rest of the film. What I mean by that is that in the first scene, we get a long, single, continuous shot of a necklace that is shortly after stolen, awakening Johnny, kickstarting this movie. That combination of elements from the ASMR audio that I was talking about earlier, of the leaves crunching, the characters walking through the woods, the still and static shots, the 4:3 aspect ratio, and the exposition being told on top of that is a receipt for what I like to call lo-fi horror. I heard this somewhere and I don't really remember where I found it, but I think it's perfect to describe this movie as I relate lo-fi music to a more calm, relaxed, and chill listening experience. This movie is essentially that. I can describe this movie giving me those exact same feelings. I am immediately lulled into this experience, almost hypnotized at some points. I never found this movie boring at any point because even when it's just a killer making his way from one location to another, I was always immersed in the film. I was right alongside Johnny in this murderous rampage with my feet kicked up, drink in hand, resting in my lazy boy. You can tell they put so much effort into the audio department of this movie, and it's some of the best that I've ever heard in any movie, let alone a horror movie. Like I said before, the crunchy footsteps, the birds chirping, the flies buzzing, the meaty gunshots, and of course the disgusting noises that are made when he stabs, breaks, and kills somebody. His motivation is great, and I love that all these events could have been avoided if it wasn't for the actions of these stupid young adults in the movie stealing property that didn't belong to them in the first place. Johnny's in search of a necklace that was stolen from his burial site. I've always loved films that give lots of lore to the villains. Lore gives the audience reason to look more into the film and dig deeper than they initially would. That's why I think Terrifier is so good and has been a mainstay for the past half decade. The lore makes him significantly more interesting and more worthy of a franchise than just some clown killing people. I can see the same thing happening with this franchise when it starts one way but ends in a completely different manner. It's called evolution, baby. I think this is for sure the prettiest slasher film I've seen, with its attention to cinematography, great camera work, fun edits. Like, tell me a slasher film with a match cut. And finally, with a nice long shots that add to the carnage candy of it all. Imagine seeing someone die horribly without there being a break with the edits in the scene. It just looks so much realistic and gruesome. Like, I love this scene right here. These scenes are just so much fun to watch because of how creative yet simple they are. The way details are revealed are clever and fun. Well, they have to be, as the killer is a mute and does not speak. So we are told about him and his lore either from other characters while he is stalking them, or like in this scene where he visits his old house and remembers the significance of the necklace that was stolen to him earlier in the movie. He is a mama's boy at heart, just like his inspiration, Jason Voorhees. I'm just a fan of what this director is trying to do in this movie, and I think it comes from the question, what is it like to be a killer in a slasher movie? What does his day to day look like? He answers this question with this movie. A small answer he gave me that I didn't know I needed was, how does the killer, who is large and heavy and someone who you wouldn't think to be sneaky, hide in plain sight without ever getting caught by his victims? Honestly, it's not that hard. He just blends in with the dark, it seems. He stands very tall and does not move, and I guess it works. So that's all the answers I need. Anyways, watch this movie. It's great. Peace out.